Welcome, everyone, to the live for today, which is day 9. Welcome back, beautiful souls. This is your journey from shame to empowerment. Yesterday, we explored the compass of shame, which outlines 4 common ways that we typically react when shame pops up for us. But today, we're going to dive deeper into the first one, and we're going to talk about withdrawal. What something that a lot of us do when we have that inner sense of shame that oftentimes, most of the time, is unconscious. So, withdrawal is shame's disappearing act. That's the best way to say it. When we shrink back, we pull away, or we hide in the hope that no one's going to notice us or our shame, right? Nobody's going to notice us. Perhaps we're avoiding eye contact with people. I know I have done that uh, for a lot of years. If unless I wanted to really start a conversation with somebody, then I would immediately have eye contact with them. But shame often stopped that, and so perhaps you do something else. You leave the room. You suddenly become really quiet. You just close down. Stop talking. Stop connecting. Stop communicating. And most of the time, it is exactly that time that something important needs to be said. That you have something to say. And that's the important part about doing this work with shame and letting it go so you can be who you truly are. So perhaps um, take an example like when you are having trouble with a friend and you decide after a difficult conversation you're just going to ghost them, right? Sometimes we lose precious friends that way, people that really matter to us, but it's in our case it's a protective move, and it's rooted in fear. That's the thing that is limiting to us. You're thinking, if I disappear, maybe no one will see me, no one will be able to judge me. It's the same kind of fear that people have when they fear public speaking. If they get on stage, they're going to be um, judged. People are going to say things about them. They're going to say words that people aren't going to agree with. None of that feels safe. I mean, public speaking is like next to death, one of the biggest fears that people have. It's the same kind of feeling inside when shame is ruling the roost. Shame, actually, I sense that shame is probably the most isolating emotion that we actually feel. It makes us believe that if people really saw us, they wouldn't accept us. Saw us for who we are. Those are the words that are important. Saw us for who we are. That's what we're thinking in our being. That if they knew who we really were, they wouldn't accept us. They wouldn't like us. And when that thought takes over, withdrawal is the safe place to go so that you're not being exposed that kind of pain or rejection. So from an early age, many of us learned that if we speak too loudly or we shine too brightly, that was one of my things I remember as being a little child. Like I remember being so enthusiastic. My mother would say things like, "You are too big for your britches." What does that even mean? But I can, remember like that is a common theme in my life. I am an enthusiastic person. I love to see life in other people, and it just shines through me. So sometimes you're told you take up too much space, and it all feels so critical. Society just sets up these double binds. Be strong, but not too strong. This is especially for women I'm talking about. Be visible, but not too loud. Be soft, but not weak. Uh, these impossible rules, really, they teach us that disappearing feels safer than being judged. Am I right? Does this feel like something that you've experienced? So, withdrawal really isn't a weakness. Think of it this way. This is the good news, right? It's not a weakness, it's actually a survival response. It's a nervous system saying, better to hide than risk shame. And here's the painful irony. While withdrawal protects us in the short term, it also cuts us off in the long term for the thing that we most want, and that's connection. The very thing we're afraid of, disconnection, is precisely what withdrawal creates. So get clear about that. It's not to our advantage to withdraw. And yet this is important. Withdrawal is not a weakness. We learn it as a strategy. Many of us get really learn to be quiet and complacent, or I should say compliant, although complacent is true as well, or invisible because it's safer. And as children, oftentimes when we spoke up, we got punished, or when we showed emotions, we got shamed. So our nervous system decided it's better to hide than risk. Okay, so just so we're clear about how you get those patterns. So what can you do instead? Here's the good news. The antidote is presence. Learning how to live in the moment as your authentic self. Instead of disappearing, we learn to stay, making different choices. That might look like taking a big deep breath and keeping eye contact in a conversation, or maybe writing in your journal in an honest way. How many times have you written in your journal and it wasn't really what you were thinking, but you're afraid to put the words down on paper? I literally have never kept a journal because I didn't want anybody to read it. And it's hard to be honest, even in writing about your own life, right? What you're truly feeling can be very scary. So, and one of the things that can help is if you have a good friend, tell them your truths, somebody that you trust, open up and find a way that you don't disintegrate when you actually tell your real truth about what is inside. That's a genuine gift that a real friend can give to you, um, is holding that sacred space for you to be who you are. And that's when shame loses its grip. When we name it, we reach out and we dare to stay present. So, presence is really how we begin to write a new way of being, in connection with yourself and with others, um, in an authentic way. So, there you go. So, just a guided reflection, take a moment to think about a time in your life when you felt yourself pulling away. Could be recent, could be a while ago, maybe as a child. You have an experience that has stuck with you, that it was very dramatic, and you remember that sense of, oh God, I got to get out of this. Maybe you're having a challenging conversation with your partner or your friend, even recently, or you you chose to remain silent in a meeting when you had something very valuable to say maybe at work, or maybe you just plain old skipped a social gathering because you didn't feel good enough that day. Think about that time when you felt yourself withdraw. How did your body feel? How did that feel in your body? Did your shoulders curl in? Did your chest tighten? Did your breath get shallow? Did you feel smaller and less present and almost invisible? Just notice it without judgment. What does withdrawal look like for you? What do you do in those moments when you want to be invisible? Okay, so this is going to be the workbook exercise, right, for today. The next time you notice yourself starting to disappear, that pattern that you just identified, take a slow and intentional breath in. Exhale twice as long as your inhale. Relax. Now, don't put any pressure on yourself to speak or act differently. Just stay with that moment. Breathe into it. Allow yourself to experience the feeling, the expression of what it means to be authentic, but remaining in that moment where you wanted to just be invisible. Okay? That one breath is actually an act of empowerment. It says, I'm here. I'm staying present. I choose to stay present. Even if you feel discomfort, you choose to stay in the present moment. And believe me, over time, if you continue to practice that, every time that sense of I want to withdraw, I want to be invisible takes over you, take those small breaths and breathe yourself back into the present moment. And that will add up to a new pattern. You'll start to choose connection over disappearing, and it will create different habits for you. You'll become different in the way you are being in the moment, in the present moment. So get out your workbooks. Think about this idea of where is that moment in your life where you are pulling back and wanting to become invisible. It feels like you're protecting yourself, but it also feels like I don't feel fully alive in an authentic way when I do this particular thing. So just practice noticing it when you start to feel pulling away, and then just take a deep breath and stay present. That's all there is. You don't have to do a bunch of work. Just stay present in the moment. Okay? Tomorrow we're going to talk about the second aspect of shame, the inner critic again. We've touched on this a little bit before, but we'll expand on it. And I hope you enjoyed today's moments. And if you have comments, please put them in the Facebook comments. If you want to direct message me, go right ahead. I'm happy to answer your questions and connect with you. This is what I love to do now on Facebook. So happy connections, everyone, and see you tomorrow.